Now to Sudan, where the World Health Organization is actually warning of the possibility of a high-risk biological hazard after fighters seized control of a public lab holding samples of deadly pathogens. The warning comes as we're getting new images of the evacuation now of U.S. Embassy personnel from Sudan. These photos released by the military actually show evacuees landing there safely on the ground.
A 72-hour ceasefire now between warring factions seems to be holding. It's a little shaky, but as the Pentagon explores possibly sending in American troops to get more Americans out. Foreign correspondent James Longman is in London with more on this story.
After days of deadly violence, relief and joy in the first images of U.S. Embassy staff rescued from Sudan in that daring nighttime operation. A U.S. official now telling ABC News the Pentagon is looking at multiple options to facilitate the evacuation of Americans and other foreigners from the war-torn country from Port Sudan, and that might mean the use of U.S. troops. The Pentagon has sent 2 Navy ships off the coast of the country, along with American drones flying 24/7 above a United Nations convoy in which some Americans are trying to get out.
We have deployed U.S. intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to support land evacuation routes, which Americans are using, and we're moving naval assets within the region to provide support. American citizens have begun arriving in Port Sudan, and we are helping to facilitate their onward travel.
More than 400 people have been killed and nearly 4,000 injured. As the battle rages, 16,000 Americans remain in the country with no immediate way out. Many of them are dual citizens as well as aid workers. One American trapped, a Massachusetts teacher, Trillian Clifford, and her 18-month-old daughter, Alma. The two have been forced to shelter in place in their apartment, their family desperate to get them home.
To think that the two of them are in this much danger is horrific. She's telling us stories about airstrikes within a kilometer of her apartment. Her situation is becoming more dire every day.
James Longman, thanks very much for that.
For more on this crisis in Sudan, someone who has been on the ground in the war-torn region and staying in close touch with us since actually getting stranded amid all that fighting. We first spoke with U.S. travel blogger Lakshmi Parthasarathi last week when she got stuck in Sudan's capital of Khartoum. The 32-year-old Boston native later escaped hitchhiking from Khartoum to east central Sudan, where we find her now. Lakshmi joining us with the latest just on her harrowing journey. Lakshmi, I was telling Terry that we first connected actually the week that he was off. I was telling him everything that you have been through. Both of us astounded by your hitchhiking journey. You've traveled approximately 120 miles since the last time we talked. Where exactly are you now and how are you doing?
I am now south of the city, and Wad Madani is thankfully calmer for the first time now. I have not heard gunshots. Khartoum was complete mayhem, and like the family that was stranded there, I was seeing bomb blasts less than a kilometer away from my apartment by the time I decided it was time to leave. Thankfully, the people here, the Sudanese people, have been so helpful. So we were able to make it out of the city, just people helping us get rides, because honestly, we have no money because access to cash is almost impossible now. So we're able to get cars out of the city, and then a truck, basically a caravan of that was taking people that were fleeing from Khartoum and from the villages to areas of safety. So we're just kind of like cramped in a truck with a bunch of Sudanese women, children, men, and for about 7 hours or so. And they were so nice, though. They actually brought us to a roadside shelter that they've set up, like a mini refugee camp of sorts. And they took us in, gave us food, gave us a place to stay. And then today we hitchhiked again and made it to Wad Madani. So it was definitely a difficult journey. Like, I was in Khartoum realizing that I have no money, no power, no water. Internet there were blackouts and very little access. And the fighting had come closer to my street. So that day there was crossfire, and the night before I left, there was a huge bomb blast where I felt like the building shake. So I thought, okay, this is the time to get out. And at that point, there had been no additional communication from the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah. Well done. I admire your pluck, your resourcefulness, your courage, and I'm worried about you, as I'm sure all who know you are. But I do want to ask, since you're there on the ground, you can be a reporter for us. The U.S. helped broker this 72-hour ceasefire, began last night. Have you got any sense as to whether it's holding?
Yeah, so this would be the fourth ceasefire, maybe fifth ceasefire. And in the previous ones, when I was in Khartoum, nothing held up. In fact, the opposite happened. And with this ceasefire, what I'm hearing from my friends who are still in the city is that there was a reduction in fighting, but there's still sounds of gunshots in the distance everywhere. So it's not exactly a ceasefire, but there's less fire. So hopefully that continues at least, and that people evacuating are able to do so. It was very, very difficult for people. Transportation is insanely expensive now. I didn't realize how quickly the price of fuel could just skyrocket, and it costs hundreds of dollars to take a taxi across the city. It's crazy.
Well, Lakshmi, we are so glad you are safe. We hope that you will continue to stay in touch with us, because our next Zoom with you, we would like for it to be back here in the States, home, safe and sound. Lakshmi Pathasarthi, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.